So it worked out well.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it.
The only thing those days that suck are the waiting for phone calls back. That stinks. Like there was one person that I was waiting for all day to call me back, and it's like 9 p.m. I'm sitting down for dinner, and the phone rings. It's like oh God, that type of thing. What's up, Michael? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the things Fenton kind of talked about last year was the importance of building and developing through Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I know that Guerin was in charge of the Penguins affiliate for a couple of years. Did he have any sort of insights about how he was planning on using the Iowa Wild?
You know what? I'd be making it up if I answered. I haven't really asked him about that. One reason is because you look at the roster and you know who's going to be on the team. So it's like normally you come into a season, you can look at Iowa guys and say that there's like 3 or 4 guys vying for spots, but the roster is the roster on the Wild. In fact, it's going to be more who doesn't make the team. JT Brown, is he going to wind up down in Iowa? I've got to think so, unless there's injuries. Nico Sturm, I don't see how he makes the team without injuries. Things like that. But in terms of Iowa, I think he's going to want to let these guys develop. Iowa's going to have a really young team. A lot of first-time really pros down there. The Lodnias, the Duheims, the Dewars, the Robsons. So from a call-up standpoint, there's not a lot of veteran options. I mean, there's Louis Belpedio, there's Brennan Manel, but they've lost guys like Cal O'Reilly, they've lost Matt Reed. So there's not a ton of guys down there. They signed a couple of NHL guys or NHL or professional veterans to put down there that would be probably call-ups. But my guess is he's going to try to let a lot of these kids play down there and get significant ice time. I think it's good that Nico Sturm might wind up down there. I know he'll probably be disappointed if he doesn't make the team, but to come right out of Clarkson and expect to be on the NHL and probably play the fourth line, I just don't think that's good for his development. As impressive as this young kid is, I think going down there and playing huge minutes is the way to go with him. So,
good question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that to me, by the way, just on another thing, like people keep on saying, Craig Leopold. Like first of all, Craig Leopold's cheap. I mean, the guy's had a cap team here since 2008.
Yeah, cheapness is not a problem.
Yeah, but they're like, is Craig Leopold going to put Victor Rask in the minors for $4 million? And I'm like, and I want to be what? So you can have Nico Sturm play fourth line or be the 13th forward? That makes no sense. There's no reason to put Victor Rask down there. And as I had to explain to somebody on The Athletic today, you don't get $4 million of cap space to spend if you put Rask down there.
Right.
Otherwise, people would be burying highly paid players in the minors all the time. The only thing the Wild would get by putting Rask down there is $1 million, about $1.075 million in cap relief. And it's not like they need that right now anyway. So it's not a big deal to me. I mean, as I said last time, and I genuinely mean it, if all of a sudden the Wild have injuries this season, having Rask on this team might not be the worst thing in the world anyway. At least he's an NHL player, so that has scored 20 goals before.
Yes, sir.
So what are with the CBA agreement coming up next week, or next year rather, what are the primary points of contention between the...
Well, I mean, it's always going to be stuff like escrow and things like that, Olympic Games, mostly that type of stuff. I mean, they're not going to ever, the NHL is not, the owners are never going to go back to less than 50-50 revenue split. A lot of the international stuff will be a big part of this. I am forgetting like one obvious one that's off the top of my head. But escrow is always going to be a point of contention with the players. But when it's a point of contention with the players, it's just because they don't understand it. It's like they don't understand. Escrow is not just like extra money coming in your paycheck. There's the CBA says that it's a 50-50 split. But you don't know what the revenues are for the league until the following summer. So the way it works is that there has to be a certain amount of money taken out of their paychecks to make sure that they're not overpaying, that the owners are getting their half of the pie, and usually they'll get a refund check in the summertime. But that's just kind of the way it goes. So those will be the big things. So in the next couple of days, to get to Chris's question here, in the next couple of days, we're going to there are opt-outs for both the league and the players. And you could, if they opt out now, then they have a year before technically there could be a work stoppage next year. So in the next couple of days, we're going to find out, I promise you, that the league is going to say, we're not opting out. And then it'll be up to the players who have, according to Pierre LeBrun, a meeting of their hierarchy coming up here in Chicago next week, and then they'll make their decision. If the players decide to opt out, don't panic that all of a sudden that means a guaranteed lockout next year. It just means that they're using their hammer to put a little muscle on the NHL to come to the negotiating table. The thing is that this is the in terms of optimism, this is the most they've ever met before a potential work stoppage that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it seems like they're making strides. They've had good communication. And then the other thing here is that Seattle's coming into the league in 2021. The league's not going to want a work stoppage in there. So I think that type of thing is going to be pressure on Bettman to get stuff done.
If you're in the Savage area, we recommend you come by Tin Shed, lunch, dinner, snacks, late night, beers, whatever. If you aren't in the area and you're looking for good food, we do recommend Bitesquad, bitesquad.com. They're now in Minneapolis, Roseville, St. Paul, and Duluth. You can get their members-only deal, $5.99 a month, gets you free delivery from anywhere within a 4-mile radius. They deliver from really good restaurants. You can even order like just ice cream, and they will show up. It's a great service. And
how about Starbucks?
For you, yes.
Okay.
For you, absolutely. And they will, and it gets there, and it looks like it just came out of the kitchen. You know, I've used it many times before. Use a promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery fee waived. Just keep using it after that because they've been a great partner for our network and this show. And they will deliver to your home, your office, or anywhere you happen to be. So bitesquad.com. Or upload the Bite Squad app and use it, and that's probably the easiest way to use their service. Thanks to Bite Squad for sponsoring the program. Do you like the fair?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I said to somebody else the other day, my biggest anxiety is just getting into the fair and how to get there.
That is a challenge.
I always, for any appearance that I have to make, I always seem to be just ridiculously early, just because I'm so worried how to get in there. It's just the crowd. So I've done 3 of 4 appearances so far. And I've gone 3 different ways. One, I took a lift. The other, I took a park and ride from the soccer stadium. And the other, I just parked on the premises. So,
what do you recommend?
You know what? The lift was cool in terms of because I parked at a friend's house that lives sort of near the fair. And it was awesome getting in there. But the problem with Lyft or Uber is leaving there. Get in that car they have to fight traffic to get into the premises. So it just, even though it might say 2 minutes away, it's not 2 minutes away, you know. So the day, if it's raining, I highly recommend parking on the premises. When I say on the premises, in one of the lots. The Athletic, we don't have media passes, believe it or not. We have to get that. But if it's raining, it was so simple to just get in and out of there. And the park and ride's awesome. Like I did the Alliance Stadium. From that route, what they do is they have to get on 94, go to 280, go to like whatever that road is. I forget the road is that gets them on the kind of the express bus lane. Yeah, and so it was like almost 15 minutes on the bus each way, but. Those park and rides are awesome. I used to do the one at University of Minnesota all the time when I lived downtown, and it's so simple getting there, but the line to get on that University of Minnesota bus to get back could be an hour. I mean, it's crazy how long the line is for that one. So the one at the soccer stadium is the one I would definitely recommend.
Brandon was nodding as you were talking about that. By the way, thank you.
I'll probably do that on Labor Day.
If you guys haven't noticed or met Brandon before, Brandon Morton's our longtime producer. We appreciate all the work he's put into the network.
I was driving down here, and my mother, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was like, "Does Brandon just have a kick me sign on his back?" And I'm like,
it's been a rough month for Brandon.
Yeah.
He's only had 2 cars stolen in the last month, you know?
I thought it was a good line by my mom.
It was actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get your writing tips from her?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should. Remember when we spoke to the Metropolitan Breakfast Club a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Peter, I was over.
I've done it twice.
Yeah, I did it this week, and they asked me a really interesting question. They asked, and these people have been Minnesota sports fans for a long time, and they said, are pro sports going to have trouble continuing to fill their, and not just pro sports, all revenue sports. So they're going to have trouble continuing to fill their buildings. You have younger fans who would rather watch on TV or rather watch on a device. You're seeing that with Gopher Sports. People are not going to the games. The flip side of that is the Wild sell out no matter how they play.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this year is going to be tough. I could see their solid streak ending this year. I do think. It's funny. I've talked to people in the Wild hierarchy that have said the same thing about kids. It's like they don't even want to go to the games anymore. It's not because they're not having fun. It's like this video game world. It's like you look it on the line. Read The Athletic. The other thing that is, I think, a major issue that would be a great story for say, a project for us at The Athletic to write that I think a lot of people maybe in this audience and people at that Metropolitan Breakfast Club could talk about is, when the tax laws changed and now there's no write-offs anymore for getting a suite or getting tickets for a client or things like that. And so now it's hard. It's hard to justify if you're a businessman that takes clients to a game and they're able to at least put in a write-off there in April, and you can't do that anymore. That type of stuff changes the revenue that these teams take in. So
absolutely, yes, sir.
What button are you wearing? Oh, that's State Fair one?
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So, keep forgetting how to pronounce his last name. Dom, Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah. I can't pronounce it.
You just call him Dom or Dommy?
I just call him Dom and then a bunch of consonants. Yeah.
So Dom is
luckily, like on The Athletic, when on our if I'm going to email him, it just comes up. The way it word on any Outlook. And then on our Slack system, same thing. I just write Dom, and it's like, boop, there he is.
You have a whole system for Russo Slacks?
Yeah. No, we have this analytics guy at The Athletic that his last name is like Lecision or something, but it's like 16 characters and a bunch of Z's and Y's and S's and C's and H's and N's and Z's and Y's and, yeah.
Yeah, so just about not too long ago, he came out with the survey here for the fan survey, just how you feel confidence about the team's leadership, and that was before Billy was hired, so that the Wild was dead last.
Yeah,
and I say no way, come on. I think the Wild are in a better situation than, let's say, the obvious year, Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I will tell you. I know that. It's funny. Craig Leopold never mentioned it to me, but somebody told me that is friends with Craig Leopold, that he was very embarrassed by that story, and it really bothered him. Not like angry, but bothered him. But the one thing I would have said that if Craig ever asked me about it is that the timing sucked for the Wild. I mean, the day that Paul Fenton was fired was the day that Dom just happened to be doing this survey. And if you don't know what you're talking about, is that Dom does this thing on fan confidence in their front offices. And so the day that he was planning this was always going to be the end of July, because the whole point of the thing is that a lot of us writers in the league goes to sleep in August, so we kind of do some funky stuff in August. So he was looking for story ideas, so he always does it in late July. And so it's a Google document that fans could just fill out, and a bunch of different categories. Well, the Wild obviously finished last, but they have no GM. So the timing sucked for the Wild. It's just like if I was filling the thing out, I would have had no confidence in the front office because there was no front office. So I felt bad for the timing of that. I don't think the Wild would have been 31st. I don't think they would have been, after the year that Paul Fenn had, I don't think they would have been higher than 25th, 26th anyway. But you're right. I mean, to say that they were dead last in the league in terms of confidence fans have in the front office, I think that's 100% because they didn't have a GM. If they did that now, I could promise you the Wild would finish a lot higher than 31st. It was just the timing of it. So to me, that one I would take with a grain of salt. And that's no offense to Dom. It's just the timing.
Right.
So any forward area where Dom has the Wild projected at? I mean,
you know what? I do have a sense. I can't say because the way it works at The Athletic is it's crazy to me. He's doing 31 NHL previews from an analytical point of view. And then we kind of input where it goes. So his starts, it started August 28th, I think, right? So his should have started today, and then it goes 31 days. And so the Wild preview will come out. The one thing I will tell you, if you look at all Dom's models all offseason, his models have the Wild much more optimistic than the common view of the fan or beat writer or anybody like that. So my guess is that Dom's preview of the Wild will not be nearly as bad as maybe Wild fans think it might be.
Yeah, because I was just listening to the other podcast here by the THN they were a little bit less optimistic here, and just like what you said here with what you hear Jim said about Billy coming in here with the easiest job.
Yeah.
Maybe it would just be easier just to blow this team up.
Well, look, I have said this 1,000 times. It is unrealistic to blow a team up in today's day and age.
And Fenton
especially
tried,
when you have 7 guys.
and
Yeah,
didn't
he
work
tried
very well.
Yeah, I mean, he got rid of the guys that, frankly, I mean, what he tried to do is